Welcome to the third installment of Tonkocast.
Yeah, so first two have been pretty amazing. We had a lot of fun talking with those guys, but then who is our third guest?
I think this guest has a special place for us. Erick Oh, our supervising animator from The Dam Keeper. He has a pretty illustrious kind of collection of work that he's done over time.
I mean, he's one of the incredible young animators at Pixar, but on the side, while he's been working professionally and since he was a student, he's made a lot of incredible independent films himself.
Yeah, Erick kind of is prolific. I mean, even when we worked with him on The Dam Keeper, before we finished The Dam Keeper, he had already moved on to his new film.
And finished it.
And I believe he's already even had a retrospective of his films because he's done that many films.
Right.
And I think more than anything, we're excited to talk to him about how is he achieving all of this, what really is exciting to him right now in the world of animation. But yeah, let's just jump right into it.
Yeah, so Erick Oh, he's an animator at Pixar, but he was our supervising animator on our first film, Dam Keeper, and he really kind of inspired us quite a bit. Before we started The Dam Keeper, we looked at his films, and Erick did a lot of personal films outside of his professional work. How many films have you done?
So far, like 10.
10 films.
And 7 or 8 before The Dam Keeper. So that's
7
when
or
we first
8
met.
before The Dam Keeper. So anyhow, he's one of those people who always did his personal work outside of your day-to-day, everyday professional work. And that really got us inspired. And we just felt like, we want to do what Erick did, not knowing how hard it is. And luckily, Erick was able to help us. Not only help us, actually, he did become our supervising animator and really carried on the animation style of The Dam Keeper. So, Erick, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, just first of all, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Like you graduated from UCLA.
I did. So I am from Korea. So we should start from over there. And then I did fine art painting in my
That's right.
undergraduate degree. So that was my super foundation. And then went to UCLA for film study. And that was sort of what I did as a student. And no matter where I was, I think I've been always making stuff, making films or any sort of art related stuff. So it's been continued all the way through. Even if I got the position at Pixar Studios, so I never changed in terms of just making stuff like that. Yeah. So.
You didn't study 3D animation, right? You only had a traditional animation experience before you came to Pixar. That's that's happened before, but it's becoming rare and rarer. Studio like Pixar, probably the best 3D animation studio in the world. Finding talent in your traditional animation and then train they took you so that they could train you to become a 3D animator. How was that transition from 2D animation to 3D?
So right off the bat, I'm a self-taught animator. So even 2D animation, I learned how to animate by making animated film. So that's how I got everything started. So I was making my own logics and rules of animating and making animated films. And then, so almost like it's kind of gamble for Pixar that gave me a chance to animate a character in the Pixar movies, because they probably saw some of potentials in me. But as you just mentioned, I didn't have much of a CG animation experience at the time. But I don't know, somehow at first I was struggling. But they were nice enough to give me some, opportunity and some time for me to explore. And then, like a month and second month and something start to come all together. So I realized that CG or 2D, it's all the same, in the end of the day. So that's all how I got this started.
That's when you got the job at Pixar, was that always the dream? Like when you got into animation and you were doing your own films, did you always want to work at a big studio or at Pixar, or what was the dream?
It's yes and no, because all the reason why I am painting and drawing is like, if I think about the childhood, I was raised with the animation for sure, like Disney animation, Miyazaki Hayao's Japanese animation, because being raised and living in Korea, it gave me a chance to be exposed to both cultures, Western and Asian cultures. And of course, it includes the animation industry, and I've been always huge fan of animated, film. So I've been always wanting to do that. But as I grow up, it kind of changed. Oh, okay. Like animation was a start for me to be interested in art in overall. But when I grew up, as I grew up, I feel like, I love to actually tell my own story. So that's why I decided to go to art school instead of animation school, right? So there, I probably learned how to think as an artist, or how to approach, like what to do when on the white canvas, right? And then so it kind of shifted, but and then it kind of like went back, because I was looking for the right medium for myself to explain about myself, and then I was trying painting or installation, and one day I started moving images, which turned out to be an animation. Oh, okay, wait a minute. This is actually what I grew up with. So that's when all the pieces came together. Okay, then I'd love to study more of this.
Yeah.
So that's how I went to UCLA, and then of course, like working at Disney or Pixar has been always like one of like biggest dreams I had. But the long-term goal is definitely gonna be producing my own, whatever that is, right? But as a on my way to get there, of course, being part of the studio like Disney or Pixar is definitely has been one of my big dreams for sure. Yeah.
That's cool. How do you see like your work at Pixar, like going from school making your own films, then going to Pixar and working on, Pixar's an amazing place because it feels like artists there can take ownership over parts of the film.
Sure, yeah.
But ultimately, you're telling the story, hopefully, of a director that has passion for this story and a personal connection to this story. But how do you see kind of the work that you're doing at Pixar and how it relates to what you said like was your ultimate goal? Because I feel like this is something we struggled with too.
Sure,
is,
yeah.
Like, how does that kind of how do they fit together?
Well, I think every one of us will think this way, because I think myself, I don't think I'm a complete artist. I have to learn stuff. Like, there's so much that I need to learn and get knowledge and in both of artistically and both technically, right? So being at Pixar really provides a huge opportunity to achieve that part of artistry. So while helping visualizing director's vision with many different teammates, like there are like 600 people, in just to make one film, right? At Pixar, like 300 to 600, but at most, and then just being part of that big ship, is such a humbling experience, and that, I mean, believe me, it's been already like 6 years since I've joined Pixar, and then I know time flies. I've learned so much. There's stuff I never knew before meeting you guys and meeting like amazing artists, colleagues and fellow artists I worked with, and then directors and so that's how I see this. That's how I balance this to like what I do as one of the team members of this big team, and just one of the artists who owns my art, So
that's awesome. I mean, I feel like what's cool about that is like, in school it seems like you found your passion, and then you're kind of applying what you've learned and to like a place like Pixar. But in a way, Pixar is about growth too.
Sure, yeah.
Because I feel like I've been asked this a bit, I'm sure you have too, is like, what's the big difference to you between school and being in the industry, like working in the industry?
Wow, definitely professionalism. when you're young or in the school, you are fearless because your world is in this dome, I guess. I mean, that's my experience. I cannot, speak for everyone, but for my experience. So coming to a place like Pixar, or not only just Pixar, right? Like this probably applies to everyone who comes out of being a student and come to the community and society and really the world, right? And then I think that's it. I think that's you get to learn who you are more, I think, more objectively. Because when as a student, you think, oh, I can. When you watch a movie, I can make that. You can easily say that. Yeah. Oh, I can be better. I can draw like that. Totally. But in the end of the day, actually, you can't. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that you want to limit yourself. It's really exactly knowing what you're good at and what how much you're capable of, and then based on that, and you have to build yourself around it and in a smart and realistic way. Yeah, I think that's I think so.
So
what
for you, it's really awesome to hear like how it's been affecting you professionally and artistically, working at a place like Pixar. But you always manage to, find time to create your own work throughout your career at Pixar. That's what's been really amazing, and I think that's what a lot of people are very interested in hearing. How, first of all, how important it is for you to keep kind of looking at your own work and just working on your own work, no matter how busy you are at this intense, production, professional environment.
It is, it can get very intense and hard because it is entertainment business after all, which means things can get out of hand and schedule it does depend on how the industry goes, and there are a lot of things I can do about. But well, I'm not sure if this answers your question, but I personally think art has two different aspects, which are self-exploration and expression and communication, right? So when it comes to personal art, it's more about self-expression for me. So lack of that is a critical problem for me in my life, because I've been producing stuff that is me, for a long time, and not doing it is more of a problem for me. So that's why I have to find time to at least 1 hour, or like when you can't, but that's something I have to constantly be doing, before Pixar, while in Pixar, in the far future, maybe like outside the studio, I'd be always doing whatever my social job is. I'll be probably always doing that. So that's where my motivation is coming from, I think,
And how do you manage to do that? I mean, I think that a lot of people have the motivation to work on the personal work, right? But it's so hard. You're so busy, and we kind of learned hard way too, working on a dam keeper. We know it's really important for self-expression, for artists to kind of continue to always listen to,
inner voice.
Yeah, and it's keep creating their own work. But then, how do you manage to do that, balance that?
I mean, so for us, for instance, when you worked with us on the Dam Keeper, you were a supervising animator. You animated, I mean, it's hard to say, but a good deal of that film.
More than half of that film.
And you saw it through all the way to the end. And you finished up animation. It was all done. We kind of took the film and painted it and finished up what we needed to. And by the time we were wrapping up the production of our film, you had already completely animated your next film. I mean, what is it that, it's obviously a part of who you are.
Yeah.
But, to Dice's point, what is it that's how are you doing this? How are you doing this? What's the driving force? What do you feel is... Because I'm fascinated by that. I feel like when you finished that film, I was like, what's making this guy tick? What's he drinking or doing that? Because I don't know that many artists that are that... I mean, this is on top of a full-time job, doing incredible work that, I remember at the time a lot of people at the studio were talking about. It's like your passion for it is beyond what I see in a lot of artists. And I'm just curious where that comes from and what's really kind of driving you to do that, and how are you actually? Do you not sleep? I mean,
No, I do sleep. I don't know. I think the motivation part is probably, I don't know I can say more than what I, told you, but like time management wise, the reason why I can constantly stay producing stuff is because filmmaking takes time, right? At least a year, at least, my film, I'm not sure how much, how familiar the viewers are with myself, but scale is very small. I think something that can be managed by 1 or 2 animators, and it's not like the Damn Keeper. What I'm saying is, but even if that, it takes time, and then, which means, like, okay, there's a filmmaking, and then let's say 1 or 2 or 3 months will be pre-production, just thinking, brainstorming, and organizing your thoughts and putting all together what you like to say through this film. And then after that, the whole rest of the year is just making, which means it feels like an idea from the past. So that's why while producing this animating the idea I already wrote before, I come up with new idea that is more present. So it feels like it's kind of overlaps. So while by the end of the production, I already have this idea that I've been thinking about for over a year.
So you're ready to go.
Something like that. But of course, it doesn't work always like that neat and tidy. It's always, sometimes I don't do anything. I do. I mean, I love traveling around. So I mean.
No, you do travel.
I do travel a lot. So and then I sleep and it's just when it comes to my own stuff, I know how to efficiently work on. Like I know this pipeline so well, and the downside is though I always honestly, this is really me talking, but maybe that's why I'm not fully satisfied my recent works though, because I know that I cannot fully focus on, and I cannot put my 100% in this film or art. So that's one of the downsides. Something it's hard to achieve in this environment. I'm still trying, Yeah.
Like dissatisfaction with your own personal films, like that you've been doing, you feel?
Yeah, that's what I feel. So I mean, even like the Gunther, the short I did, I just did it for fun, and then the recent animation I haven't really talked about yet is called Oh, and that's really a super abstract, non-narrative, feeling out sort of animation, and then I enjoyed animating it. But after working on it, it's good. If you watch it, that's another Erick Oh animation. But to me, as a creator, I feel like I could have spent more time on there. I could have told more or story over there, or I could have put more of myself into that. But that's something I need to always compromise. Okay, this amount of time I can devote and commit, but I cannot do that more than this. So
I mean, that kind of feeling, like, it's great. I really do feel like it's a very sincere feeling for you.
Sure, yeah.
A lot of artists you'll hear talk about kind of dissatisfaction with their own work. It sounds like in the recent films it's something different than how you feel about your previous films.
Sure, yeah.
Gunther, when I watched it for the first time, I just felt so much like this is a different part of you that we hadn't seen before, because heart or
symphony or something.
It's just so different.
Sure.
But and also I feel like it must. I had to say not that like it's about us, but I felt like also, was this a response to the Damn Keeper?
Do we do something to Eric?
Yeah, like
brain or something?
Eric went crazy.
Yeah.
Did we break Eric?
But like, is that because there is like always with you. Every time I've talked with you, Eric, you're always talking about the future, always talking about where you are right now, and there's always a bit of dissatisfaction with kind of settling, right? Like this kind of feeling of like, oh, I'm good, I'm stopping here. Because, 10 films, you have had a retrospective in Korea. I mean, how many people of your age, I won't say disclose your age, but Eric is very young and has already had a retrospective. And, like, a lot of people would stop there, but is that dissatisfaction kind of what is a little bit driving you? I mean...
It's that the main driving force probably... the big essence is always the same, but little thing can always change. it wasn't like that before, but I think it's more recent thing, I guess. I think a bit of something I sort of realized while watching my old films. Like when I watch it, a lot of people can get embarrassed by your previous work, but I feel I do that too. But at the same time, I feel like, oh, actually, at that time, there's a real heart in it. You know, I was really desperately speeding out everything I could. You know, there was no night and day at the time, but I just missed that. So these days, I think I mean, I always change, you know. Yeah. I mean, it's not like I'm a really complete human being. I get in control of everything. I'm not like that. So these days, it's kind of like how I feel these days, honestly. And like and every film, I love to try new things, which is just like what you told me with Gunther too. I mean, that's something new about, you know. And then looking back on my films I made so far, okay, 10 films. And then probably what's next step for me. So that's why one day I was very interested in virtual reality. I was interested in other format. I'm interested in like other stuff. So that's one of other driving force too. How can I make something better at the same time different from what I've been always doing? How can I get out of my own frame? And then that's another thing. So I'll think about other format like virtual reality, or even scale wise. What if I tell a longer format, like maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes, what it's gonna be like? So I have curiosity towards myself, I think. Yeah, that's what it is.
30-minute film.
30? No, I'm just giving an example, you know?
That kind of leads me to my next question,
sure,
Eric. I think some of the listeners probably would be super interested in hearing your process a little bit. You know, you talked about like a different format, different medium, but then so far you've been mostly hand drawing your animation. I'm curious if you could just kind of go over quickly, like, you know, what software you use and how you do it. Sometimes you do your coloring yourself, you know, and like you mostly do the hand drawn animation, but then you use Paint,
TV Paint Animation Pro. So that's a French software, and a lot of animation artists and even students use that program a lot these days, and we used it for the Timekeeper as well. Probably because I'm used to that. And that's pretty powerful tool. And then before I was literally doing pencil and paper, super traditional animation, and my first two films were all really just I think 5,000 sheet of paper, like 8,000. I was drawing a lot, you know, and then. I just, you know, TV Paint is pretty good software. It saves of time to digital scanning every single frame and cleaning up the lines and stuff. So I use that, and then for the coloring process, we can do the customized tool. It's like Photoshop. So just like you guys, when you paint, you guys can build your own customized brush and strokes, and I can do that on TV Paint. So I use that even for the storyboard too. So
you pretty much use TV Paint for the whole process?
No, just for animation and planning out. And then I work just one shot of the sequence of TV Paint, export it to After Effects for the camera movement. So, and then final compositing is done in Premiere. That's
for editing.
Premiere for editing. So it's like a TV Paint for one single shot, and camera move and all the effects and stuff in After Effects, and I compile all those shots in the Premiere.
But that way you pretty much do the whole thing yourself in a way. Right?
In that case,
visual aspect of your films.
Yeah.
All of your films have been edited by you, and
yes, everything. When it comes to my own independent film, it's been all the visual has been me. Yeah. Wow.
But then you are now talking about possibly different format. Are you thinking about like 3D or VR or?
Yes, I am. I've been considering it for a while actually, and then even actually not only the technique or platform or how we execute this. I am trying challenging. This is a bit of a challenge for me. I'm trying a new thing in terms of way of thinking as an artist. For example, I think you guys feel the same way too. We are coming from more of a being a visual artist, right? So when we come up with the idea, it's like musicians come up with the melody, right? And then we come up with the visuals, and writers come up with the storyline, and then I love to explore more of our writing part of my brain, so that so the idea can be more multi-layered. It has more depth and dimension, because looking back, my films tend to be just one clear message, and then just a very implicit and then symbolic, way of thinking and also executing it. But so I actually, on top of like virtual reality or CG or anything like that, I think that's more of a big challenge for me. So, and then the format will grow out of it. That's how I think. Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, because Dice, we work together, and Dice is born in Japan, and sometimes I can find that like things are easier to communicate in Japanese versus in English. But are you writing in Korean or English or
Korean?
Cool.
I think Korean. Don't you think Japanese when you are thinking in your mind? Or it depends.
I gotta say it's a mixture for me. Sometimes there are certain topics I have a hard time thinking in Japanese.
Oh, okay.
But in a way, I kind of wanted to build on top of that question. For us, Tonko House is doing a lot of things in Japan right now, and our connection with Japan and the culture, and it's a fun kind of going back to your roots a little bit. Both Robert and I have a Japanese roots, and we're curious, like what it means to you, as a Korean Korean animator who works in one of the top studios in the world, in the United States, and obviously you go back to Korea quite a bit. What does it mean to you as a Korean animator working in the States, and do you have any aspiration to go back there or do something with them, or?
For sure, yes, because it's really interesting experience that because I'm out here, I think, as you just said, I more think about my own route. If I am, suppose I've been living in Korea like for entire my life, and then I'll probably asking the same question to myself. But because I'm out here, I tend to care more about Korean culture and society and art scene and stuff. So I mean, I don't know. It's always in here. I always think about it wherever I go. I don't get introduced as like American artist, not at all. I always say that I am a Korean artist currently based in California, so that's how I am introduced and how I introduce myself. And there are a lot going on. There are a lot happening in Korea. Of course, honestly, I don't think we have a long history like than Japan or United States because of this like historical reasons. And then we had a like huge war in 1950s, and ever since then we've been really busy catching up. And just looking at what we've achieved like for such a short amount of time, it's amazing actually. But like it's like a double-edged sword. But at the same time, there are still there are stuff we need to still do, and then it's still we are far behind. I really think so. But I know there are so many talented people over there, and business and industry is growing so fast. And then whenever I go to Korea, I meet not only film people or not like even musical like people who works in the music industry and other cultural industry, and then I always get a hope, that's really hopeful to talk to you guys, and no matter where we are, let's just play our own role, and then we'll meet somewhere out, and then we'll probably there gotta be our chance to contribute what we learn to the culture. So honestly, what you guys are doing with the States and Japan, that's super inspiring to me, So in the end of the day, I mean, of course, I'm not kind of guy that draws a boundary like, okay, Korean, Japan, I'm not like that. But this kind of like how you guys approach this, that's really inspiring. So in the end of the day, I love to, like 20 years, 30 years later, I love to actually, contribute, I don't know, something to the people, where I'm coming from,
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
So,
So I am super curious, like what you're working on now.
Yeah, totally.
You're always working on something.
Next.
Can you share a little bit?
Okay. do I want to share this here in front of the camera? Oh no, not big of a deal. My next project will be. It's gonna be kind of new to you guys too. It's gonna be in book format. It's kind of like new, but at the same time not really, because it's really collecting all the paintings I've been doing, and then honestly, at first I was going to, and there are actually a lot of writings I did. It's all in Korean though. It's a lot of poems or writings, and I kind of like collected everything, and then maybe it's a good idea to get a chance to share this with people out there too. So I talked about new medium. Actually, publishing a book is another huge different medium. I'm learning a lot actually. So that's one of the things I am trying to do. I'm not sure how it's gonna end up with, but that's my next goal. The interesting, one of the things I like to say through this opportunity is the short I just made. Oh, the animation. It's all connected to that book. So it's the same story, the same meaning, but this is interpreted in an animation version, and this is the book version of it. But it doesn't mean that most of the time when you say that, oh, there's an animated version of illustration book, it's not like that. It seems like a completely different project, but actually it does share a lot of common element. So when hoping to release the short out there, I love to actually release it together so that people can see the connection in between. So I don't know, that's something I am trying to do. I don't know. You'll see.
That's exciting.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
When are you publishing that book?
Hopefully sometime next year. It really depends. It's you guys are publishing the art of Damn Keeper, and then you published like Sketch Travel and a lot of publication, but I haven't done anything like that, and I know that it's really hard to make a good book because there's a narrative in it, and power of text is so powerful. It's not like a single drawing that can give you some freedom for the interpretation. It's like word is like word, literally. When you say I love this, that means you love this, right? There's nothing else. So choosing the right sentence and word, and that's so hard. And then, because I'm not a professional writer, so that's something I'm learning. I'm getting a lot of feedback from the people who have experience. So yeah, we'll see. It's another huge challenge. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Will it be translated? Maybe it's too early to know, or?
Yeah. I should translate it.
Cool.
And this is one of the things. It goes along with your question about Korea. I mean, I wanted to have the Korean language in it to show my identity. Oh, this is how I thought this out originally, and then because my English is a second language, but I love to have it together or put them separately, and that's something we are deciding. But definitely we will have translation version of it for sure. Yeah.
Is Gunther online? You can
No,
buy
not
it
yet.
now.
Not yet.
When do we get to see Gunther, like everybody?
So this is another thing. I am thinking of making Gunther in serial format.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, I am.
You should.
So yeah, I know. I don't know. I mean, that's another.
That's cool.
I don't know. I'm not sure if this is good timing for me to put this out in the
there.
world, but I am thinking about it. So actually, making a shop and making a Gunther merchandise and making a Gunther in a serial format, I think is something I love to discuss later on with you guys.
Yeah.
And then actually, I'm releasing point of the short has to be decided when that's decided. So
Okay.
like, even if I might not, I might end up with, okay, I'm not gonna do it. Then I'll just release it, in no time. But I am thinking about it, so I think I love to take advantage of it because, so that's something I have in my mind too. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, Eric, thank you so much for coming
you so
today.
much.
Yeah, and I think we'd love for you to keep coming back because you are so productive, and I feel like even now we spend time together, but I feel like we don't get to sit down and talk, and
We've been all so busy, you guys.
yeah, and it's just good to hear, kind of, and especially as you complete projects, like you finish more projects so quickly that it's hard to keep up. So whenever you have new stuff, we'd love to keep talking and keep sharing with people, because I think a lot of people who are following Tonko House, and most of them, a lot of them know it, but some of them don't know it, but they're actually following a lot of your work on the Dam Keeper. So it'd be great to keep hearing about everything. But cool, Eric. Yeah,
thank you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you, Eric. Keep
really
inspiring.
Yeah.
Awesome.